All right, welcome everybody. I finally got to see the creator. Let's talk about it. So first I'll give a non-spoiler review, and then near the end we'll start talking more spoilers, so I'll let you know when that happens. So the performances and visuals in this movie are top notch, and it comes off as even, a greater feat when you know there's only an $80 million budget. And I know when I say only, that's a healthy budget for an original movie. But compared to like Marvel and the Star Wars of the world, this budget's kind of small, and they really stretch that and make it work. Like, not once did I see like some sort of sloppy CGI or anything that took me out of the world. It just looked fluid and consistent and beautiful from start to end. So this is an original story, and it does feel pretty familiar when you're watching it in terms of story and visuals. There's going to be lots of people who say there's lots of, District 9 and Chappie, like visually stuff like that. And obviously there's some Terminator stuff, like, Star Wars. You could see Rogue One's like heart and soul in this a little bit as well. Blade Runner, there's going to be lots of comparisons, but everyone has a different background what they pull from. So you're definitely going to feel some familiarity with this movie. But again, it's an original story. Subject matter, AI has been covered before, but I feel like even now, with the AI boom we have going on, it's a lot more relevant, and it's very interesting the way they portray AI in this movie. I feel they take a stance from both perspectives, so it's interesting trying to see, how one part of the world views AI versus the other. It kind of shows you there's two different ways potentially the future could be with AI. And then as a dad and husband, there is definitely some more emotional moments near the end of this film. I didn't quite have the waterworks start, but very, very heartfelt spots that was definitely tugging at the heartstrings. So again, bravo to the actors for really owning these roles and selling the story. My score out of 10 is an 8.5. That is a solid score for a movie on my grading scale, which tends to be, harder than most. And I really, really think, and I encourage everyone to, if you have the time, you're a fan of sci-fi, please go try to watch this in theaters. We don't really get higher budget original sci-fi films, and if a film like The Creator that's getting a lot of good critic reviews and other good reviews, but it bombs in the box office and doesn't resonate with the moviegoers, the chances of studios greenlighting more projects like this is probably pretty slim. So as a sci-fi fan, I try to see all new sci-fi projects that come out into theaters, and I would encourage you to do the same. All right, so on to spoiler territory. I've talked about some of the positives in the non-spoiler. That all rings true. I don't have to go into detail there. Just go watch it. It's great. But for spoiler-wise, a couple of things that didn't work for me. Specifically, the Nomad. Great concept, great visuals. I loved it. It's like a little mini Death Star floating around. I love the way it just roams over the battlefield. But I can't help but noticing, I'm like, can't these guys shoot rockets at this thing or something? Like, can't they deploy fighter jets? I'm assuming, it has defenses and stuff like that, but not once do you really see anyone trying to take a shot at this thing. And really if we see it just, drop missiles, like it's basically a large drone, but it's like a floating base drone. But yeah, you don't really see anyone ever take a shot at it. And then near the end, when all those missiles are getting launched to all the different, the places where AI has been harbored, I think, or is how they were saying that, like all targets relevant to AI. It seemed like, I don't know if Nomad was above LA when that was happening, but like it just seemed like it was magically above all these different, again, they could have all been in the same area, but one's a desert, then you see some more cities and then jungly areas. It just seemed like it was magically above it, and like the blue lights coming straight down from it. It's like, did it really get there that fast? Sometimes it looks like it's like, very low off the ground, and other times it's way high up in orbit. So the Nomad, like where it was just sometimes, again, like it's probably fine for a lot of you, but that's just where my brain went watching it, being like, how the heck did it get there? So again, just a small gripe. And then Alpha's powers. We're introduced to Alpha. She obviously has the ability to control electricity, computer systems, stuff like that. They also set the stage that since she's young, she has to be really close to do that, right? She can't just control Nomad from the ground. They want her to get older and develop her so she has the power to do that, or bring her up to the ship so she can do it locally up there. But then I feel like in the whole action journey, I might have to go back and watch this, but I felt like there were some scenarios where they could potentially got out of them pretty easily had Alpha just used her powers. But again, I get it. She is a child. She might not, and again, she's a child AI. She might not understand the threat of the scenario or what's really going on, and they choose to use it, sparingly. But sometimes it's just like, man, just use your powers and just really help the good guys out here. But other than that, really enjoyed myself at this movie. Love to see that Gareth Edwards is back. Rogue One is my favorite Rogue One's my favorite Disney Star Wars movie. I thought in Rogue One, he really nailed kind of the grittiness of war and kind of the way he shoots stuff. And in this, it just carried over. I loved seeing those massive tanks just overtake the city. I'm a big fan of the way Gareth Edwards shoots war scenes. I hope we get more from him in this genre. I think he does a great job, and I'm glad he's back, and I hope this movie's a success so they let him do more stuff similar to this. So that's going to wrap it up for my review. Let me know if you've seen it, if you enjoyed it, and if you agree with any of my takes, and we'll see you all in the next video. Peace out, everyone.